Hi, I'm the ex-girlfriend you thought was crazy, but it turns out I'm just a robot with superpowers, Leo, and welcome to In Bed with the BO. So, Men or Death is still going on. It's starting to get really juicy. I'm really enjoying the murder mystery aspect, and the cop person I am actually really liking, but he looks really suspicious. But I'm still banking on a throuple ending. Maybe it'll be like my girlfriend's boyfriend, and that would be amazing. So let's stay tuned with that. And today we're going to cover Bad Romance. So, like I said earlier, last weekend, we are going to do all three of the Core Knock trilogy. So, last week we did Together with Me, which is newer, but it's the first one in the three-part series. This one, which is the beginning, Bad Romance, but it's the second one installment. So, we're going to cover that today. So many things happen in the show. I literally took 12 pages of notes of just happenings. This show is like ridiculous. But we can skip over most of it because you don't need all of it. But it's a messy, messy, messy show. Fair warning, this one will have mega spoilers. This series is kind of a weird thriller. There are a lot of twists and turns, and there's a surprise twist ending. So if you were wanting to be surprised by this and you're going to watch it, then watch it right now and then come back when you're done, because a lot of things happen and I want to talk about them, so I can't do spoiler warnings or anything because I'm going to spoil everything, because this one gets really weird, it gets juicy, it gets messy, it's a mess. So enjoy, and yeah, let's start. This is the first one, but the main couple isn't really Tool and Max, it's actually Yihwa and Cho, which is a straight couple. So Max and Tool are actually a side couple, but people really, really like them, so that's why they did the prequel, and then they skyrocketed until next chapter. But the main thing in this story is Cho and Yihua, and it's really good because Yihua is actually like a super awesome character, and I'm glad that she gets a boyfriend in this one because she's amazing and I want her to be happy. And she's a straight couple that I'm okay focusing on because she's interesting and she's not like annoying and horrible, and she supports her gay friends, and it's really fun. So even though Max and Tool are a side project, they still take a little bit of center stage, and they're like the only gay people, but it's still super interesting. One of the main conflicts in this is Yihua actually thinks Cho is gay, and he is going after Tool's character Knock. And Yihua loves her gay ship couple, Max and Tool, so she gets mad at Cho at first for trying to sleep with her friend's boyfriend, because Korn, Max's character, is Yhua's main friend, and Knock is like the mess that we met last time who had a girlfriend and changed. So she thinks Cho is coming in and trying to mess everything up. But then Cho likes her, but she still thinks he's gay because she's Grace from Will and Grace, and everyone she tries to date is gay. Who knows what's going on there? But that's kind of like the main problem that happens. We meet Yihua in the beginning, and she's described as a really cool woman who treats men like cell phones. She gets a new model whenever it's upgraded, whenever she feels like it, and they're just accessories, and she doesn't need a man because she's interesting, she's cool, she's a self-sufficient woman. She's in a grocery store, and she meets up with My Dear. My Dear is like her main enemy. She's kind of like the villain of this. Unlike Plern from Together with Me, My Dear is just a villain, but she's not like a bad person. She's just kind of like a needy slut, and that's okay. So she becomes a villain with James, who we'll talk about later, and their villainy is more like Team Rocket and Pokemon, where they're not good at being villains and everything they do is like really stupid. So that's interesting. So she's like a fun villain, and I do feel bad for her because she gets shafted a lot, and she's not a bad person. And she also kind of saves the day at the end of the series, so we'll get to that later too. But anyways, Yihua is in this grocery store and she meets My Dear, and they start to fight over Japanese cucumber. They both talk about how much they love Japanese cucumber and how they're fighting for the last Japanese cucumber. This is funny, and we'll learn about that joke later. If you're laughing now, you watched the series. But Yihua has two friends. She has Dewey and Being, and Cho has two friends, Martin and Tangai. It's very convenient because it's three straight people and three straight people, so they can pair up at the end. But sadly, poor Dewey, she gets a little shafted. But she gets to meet France later on, so everyone's happy. And France is super cute, and he has like a really dumb face, but it's okay. So he's good. And he's another person that Yihua thought was gay and causing trouble anyways, because Tool is a slut in this one, and Max opened his eyes to being gay, and Tool has to like constantly try to sleep around. It's really weird. He needs to calm down. This show has a lot of continuity errors with Together With Me, but it's very weird. So I watched Together With Me first. So this one was the second one I watched. I watched it in chronological order, which is how I recommend you watch it too. But the problem is this one is first, but I think of this one as the one with all the continuity errors because I watched it second, but actually Together With Me and Next Chapter are the ones with continuity errors. In the last one, Tool was kind of the bad guy because he had the girlfriend and he was being very flippity floppity and really annoying. And Max was the out gay person who wanted a boyfriend. This one, they're both actually kind of terrible people and they're both the bad guy for each other. It's a bad romance. So Max is now in the closet and nobody knows, his family doesn't know, and he's really shy about it, which is really weird for someone who we believe to have, he was dating Mew beforehand, and they had their kiss and their mom knew that they were like doing stuff in the bathroom at the end of Together With Me, and his sister knows, but now nobody knows. And Max is super private about his gay lifestyle, which is a weird thing. And Tool now wants everybody to know, and he's a big party boy slut, and Max just wants to stay at home. So there's a big continuity difference between what's happening in this one as opposed to Together With Me. So when Cho enters, Tool becomes kind of like a party boy. He's drinking all the time and going out and saying, coming out late, coming out drunk, and Max gets super annoyed. So he becomes more withdrawn and pushes him away. So he becomes kind of the bad guy in the beginning because he's pushing Tool away all the time, and he's very like, I don't want people to know I'm gay, I don't want people to know I'm gay, and he gets really bothered by Tool, and so Tool kind of gets away from him. Towards the second half of the series, Tool becomes more of the bad guy because he's constantly trying to make Max jealous by pretending to date other people, and causes a lot of controversy. First it's Cho, and then it's Chinook, and then it's France, and then it's some other person down the street, and he's always pretending that he's with another person and being very flirtatious to bother Max, and that's never a good color. It's never cute. So I kind of hated both of them in this. It's just like they needed drama because it's a boy love or it's an Asian series, so they always need all this drama, and it's very tedious. But yeah, it happens. They try to reconcile a couple times, like in episode 5, but it's a 13 episode series, so obviously they don't reconcile. But as you know, because there's a part 3, they do end up together. Like I said earlier, this show has a lot of weird things going on. We have tigers, we have poison gas, we have murder attempts, we have potted plant murder attempts like 7-Year Itch, Marilyn Monroe style, we have poison arrows, we have superheroes, we have superpowers, robots, you name it, ghosts. So this happens, a lot of things happen in this, and up until episode 5, you think it's just a normal drama where like, I like him, he likes me, oh no, crazy. But then my dear starts seeing ghosts in episode 5, and she turns out to be like an oracle because no one else sees them. And at first, like, every TV show has like a ghosty moment where like, oh, it's spooky. But she meets ghosts like 5 times, and like a lot of different ones. And there's even scenes where no one else can see them but her, and she can communicate with them. So my dear actually apparently is a very powerful medium, so that's cool. But so ghosts are real in this world. And then eventually she goes to a mental institution, and we can talk about that later. But her friend James goes, wow, you're crazy, and she goes to a mental institution. And that's where we are introduced to Beauty, Tomo, Joe's character's ex-girlfriend who goes crazy, and they have to bring her to a mental institution. So, you know, all the storylines sync up, but it's a big mess. Like I said, the first 5 episodes are kind of generic love story. Cho is going after Yihwa, but Yihwa thinks he's gay, and that's the big fun thing. You get to see lots of images of Yihwa thinking about Cho having sex with Tool, which is great. The show has a lot of skinship. There's a lot of shirtless people. There's even parts where Yihwa is taking pictures with shirtless Cho in the background to make my dear jealous. So a lot of things are happening like that, which is also very nice. So everyone really likes to see that. But it's just kind of like a normal, bland, low budget romance. But then after episode 5, things start getting really weird because Yihwa starts getting close to Cho, and then things start happening to her. Someone's trying to murder her. You see men in her apartment at night. Someone tries to poison Cho. There is a poisonous snake that's thrown at my dear in a bathroom because she's also going after Cho. So a lot of things start happening, and you're like, well, what kind of show is happening right now? Where am I? What's real? What's not real? They go on a camping trip. So Max and Tool are still fighting because Tool is being a slut and Max isn't having it. And they go camping, and during that, that's where Tool meets Chinook, which is the first fake person. Well, actually the second, because he does pretend to date Cho a little bit to make Max angry. But Chinook is like the first, like, oh yeah, by the way, we're totally dating. They like live together for a hot second, but whatever, we'll do camping trip first. So they go to a camping trip, and there's like all this weird stuff. They play a game where they have to be mean to each other. It's like Secret Santa, but like the douche version, where the person you get, you have to like be mean to them. Cho almost dies because Dewey has Cho and puts soap, dishwashing detergent in his water to be funny, but he almost dies from it. But everyone thinks that the murderer who's been trying to hurt Yihwa and my dear is trying to kill Cho now. This show has a lot of twists and turns, and you don't know what's going on, which is kind of fun, but also it's just, there's so much going on that you just get really confused. And then my dear also gets possessed by a tiger spirit, which was very strange. And at first, you're like, oh, she's faking because she's just trying to be like a dumb, horny slut. But she can talk to ghosts and see ghosts, and lots of other weird things happen to her. So she's a powerful medium, so maybe the tiger spirit force did possess her because she has powers now. And then everybody gets lost in the forest and almost gets murdered by a tiger. So that's a thing that happens. A lot of people almost die in this episode, this series, for some reason. It's very high cost. Like, you're gonna fall in love, or you're gonna get mauled by a tiger, or an evil Phantom of the Opera monster, which happens towards the end. Yeah, a lot happens. So we meet Chinook. Chinook is a very flamboyant Instagram star. He sells beauty products, and he's like whatever, but there's a lot of referencing him of being like too white in the face, or he's a lot more feminine than what people think. And I know a lot of people, sometimes I hear comments of like, I wish there was more manly people in BL, blah 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 blah, more too feminine. But it's very strange because this is a world, like the BL gay world is always kind of like putting like the feminine people down a lot of time with like comments like this Chinook being way too flamboyant, and other shows where the flamboyant people are just there for comedic effect, and or things like Together or Still Together, where Green, who is like literally the best person and the one you want to date, is being disregarded because he's too flamboyant, and you want to go after whatever his name is, Sawat, because he's more masculine. So that's kind of a little frustrating. And Chinook is kind of like a stereotypical sissy, and Tool gets more and more upset with him, even though he's using him to make Max angry, and he's like, oh, I didn't know you were so sissy. So that's kind of frustrating to watch. But Chinook also turns out to be an ass, because eventually we learn that he is lying to Tool that he has a mother dying of cancer. And Tool's like giving him money, and he becomes a product beauty model and selling products and giving him lots of money so his mother cannot die and receive treatment. And then eventually Tool is in medical class, and the pictures that Chinook is using to trick Tool, like, oh, this is my dying mother, look how sad it is, are just like Google image searches of like dying cancer patients. And the teacher uses these examples. And so he finds out, and he's mad and whatever. And then it turns out Chinook was using all this money because he has cute young money boys on the side. And there's a whole scene where Tool like beats him up and yells at him. He's like, I'm gonna knock you, which is delightful wordplay. But anyways, Chinook is gone, and then he kind of goes back to Max, but then him and Max still are like, ooh, we're fighting because we still have like 4 episodes left, so we have to fight some more. There's also a birthday for Being. Martin and Being are dating. Being is Yihwa's friend, Martin is Cho's friend, and he's mega rich, and they have this like really weird extra birthday party that's like weird polka dot 50s theme, and it's a nightmare, it's a mess. It's just way too extra because you go from camping, you go to college campus. This place has a lot of random set pieces. They just throwing darts on the board. It's kind of like Cabin in the Woods when they decide how to kill the teenagers. They just like draw random numbers, and That's how they got the show. They use the same system for like all the scenes in the show. So they're in this giant mansion, and there's like 14 different like murder attempts and sabotagey things, and which are all like fun and games. But you're already on edge because like people are almost dying, and you've seen people in Yihwa's room. So like every 5 seconds, you're like, oh my god, is this real? And it's like not real. There's an interesting scene where a certain character pulls like a gun on another character, and it turns out to be a joke. But then at the end of the series, you're like, oh my god, this was a joke. But this is what's called foreshadowing, just like the cucumber thing. Anyways, that happens. Tool gets drunk again because he's like a raging alcoholic in this series, and he professes his love for Max's character Korn in front of everybody. And there's a really funny scene where he does this, and then the two security guards of Martin they come out and they have really cute polka dot matching clothes, and they're like, oh, you gave us strength to come out too, and we're gay lovers, and we're loving gay security guards, and everyone claps for them, and it's super cute. And then Max is mega mad. Korn is mega mad, and he pushes him away, and he's like, oh, I'm in the closet again, why don't you remember? Bleh, and runs off, and then their fight begins again. You also have the fangirls. They are a big part because in Together With Me, Yihwa was the person that made everybody come together, and she was like pushing her maxtul ship together, but she's busy with Cho. So they're busy together, so no one can help Korn and Nox stay together because they're so chaotic and messed up that they are always fighting and going away. So we have these fangirls, BL fangirls, who ship people, and it's their job to keep them together. They start playing a big part during the camping trip, which we talked about in the middle of the series, and they're fighting. So they do things where like they post a lot of pictures and they talk, and they lock Max and Tool in a room together so they can make up, but they don't make up because we still have more episodes of fighting to go, and they just get further angry. But it's really funny, and you actually see some of those fangirls in Together With Me. They're reading all of Tool's Sex and the City tweets, so it's kind of fun, a little Easter egg for the fans. So they have also been following Max and Tool for a long time, so they are good fans. So good on them. So later we encounter France. We've encountered France a couple times because we've seen a flashback for why my dear hates Yihwa, and it was because she liked the boy France. But France liked Yihwa, but Yihwa didn't care. But my dear got angry, and she graffitied the school back in high school and blamed it on Yihwa, and Yihwa got in trouble. But then Yihwa becomes a badass, and she realizes that my dear did it, so she like knees her in the groin and pours Greek curry and calls her a prostitute in front of the whole school because Yihwa doesn't take shit. But we see France later because Yihwa still thinks Cho is gay, so she convinces France to try to sexually harass him to prove that he's gay, which is a really weird thing to do. But he still does it because he has a dumb face. Whatever. But then France comes back and becomes friends with Tool. And after Chinook, Tool becomes friends with France and uses France as a way to make Max angry too, because Tool is always having to make Max angry because he doesn't know how to deal with his feelings because he's a new gay, and he was a straight person and he's a new gay. So we're very confused all the time when we come out, and we don't know what to do. And it's a drama, so you have to keep it going. So they play basketball and do all these things. But then Yihwa also is stressed out by France because Cho recognizes him, and that's like a whole plot point that doesn't really go anywhere. But Cho's like, are you the guy who tried to sexually harass me? And Yihwa's like, I don't know. But that kind of happens, whatever. But there's also a sexy car washing scene, I think episode 12, where Tool's once again getting really drunk. He was super drunk during the birthday party confession too. Because, like I said, Tool's a raging alcoholic in this one. I don't know why. They just have to make him a mess. But he does another confession to Max in front of everybody. It's super romantic. He's drunk. There's bad dancing involved. Woohoo. They're all wearing white, so everyone's like, boobs. But he does this confession. He kisses Max once again in front of everybody. But it's really interesting because everybody has like gross faces on, and then you see Max making a gross face, and it turns out that Tool is so drunk that he was kissing France the whole time. So more drama, but we're in episode 12 now, or maybe 11, but it needs to calm down. Like, these guys need to calm down because the series is almost over. You have James, who is like Cho's villain, I guess. because he like wants to date Yihwa, but he also just like wants to ruin Cho's life because he is half white. And if you know anything, if there's a white person in a BL, bad things are gonna happen. If you ever see a white guy, like run, you in danger, girl. So he's half white, so there's a commentary maybe that like, oh, he's half white, so he has to just be a dick. And Cho is half Japanese, so the girl's fighting over Japanese cucumber in many different fashions. See? The joke, it happens now. James and My Dear are teaming up to destroy Cho and date the other person. And they have all these like really dumb convoluted plans. They join a dancing competition, they do this, they pretend to be Buddhist monks to trick Yihwa and like get her to see Beauty. They are also trying to hypnotize Beauty towards the end. We'll talk about Beauty later. And they wear like these really stupid face masks. Like it's literally they did a computer printing job and just taped like Cho's face and taped Yihwa's face and we're like, we're kissing to make her angry, which makes her angry and she cries. But they're literally like Team Rocket, stupid people. We meet Beauty in about like episode 6 or 7 when My Dear goes to the mental institution first. You don't know who she is. She pretends to be a nurse, so you think she's just a side character. So this show actually has a lot of really good foreshadowing, and they throw things in and you don't know what they are, like the Japanese cucumber, and you don't know what's going on. And then at the end, you're like, wow, this is forward planning for such a messy show. They think of some things and show them really early on well. But anyways, you meet My Dear, and then a bunch of episodes later, she comes back again. Turns out she's crazy. She's crazy because Tomo, Cho's character, is just so sexy that when they break up, she goes crazy and tries to kill herself. But does she? So we'll learn all about that later. But Beauty is a badass because it turns out that she's like a robot superhero. The last episode, that she has superpowers and everyone is not really that shocked by it. She like throws Cho across the room with her super robot strength. And everyone's like, wow, that's super awkward. And then they don't talk about it. And then we go on to the next scene. And then the next scene gets even weirder. So let's talk about the ending real fast because all of this that happened, it just keeps getting weirder. So in the end, the last episode, last 30 minutes, Yihwa gets kidnapped. And then everyone goes to look for her. And they go to this abandoned shop. Max and Tool, Knock and Corn are happy again. They love each other all of a sudden. They're like, hey, I love you. And he's like, oh, I love you too. And like they make up. So it's the last episode, so they have to be happy. So that kind of just like happens. And they all meet the Phantom of the Opera guy. And he has poison gas from like a Febreze bottle. He's like, pss, 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 pss. And they all get knocked unconscious. And they wake up all tied up because it's happening now. And we find out that we always thought it was Beauty because it turns out that she has been escaping from the mental institution and all the things point to Beauty. She's causing all the problems and she keeps missing and they keep going like, oh, she runs away all the time because she's super smart and strong. And then you also find out she's like a superhero monster that has super strength. So you're like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. It's totally her. But then take off the mask and you find out it's Tan Guy, Cho's best friend. And that was super weird. And then he tells his whole evil plan. So whenever somebody gets really close to Cho, he pushes them away, which sounds really familiar, Tarn type. But he pushes them away, but unlike just like one thing and just gay guys, he tries to like murder everybody that gets near him. And he really hates Yihwa because Yihwa got too close. But he also was gaslighting Beauty the whole time. So Beauty was his girlfriend and he's like, girl, you have to go. So he like messed her up. He did like a full Dakin from X-Men, Wolverine's son, who has these pheromone powers, and he actually would just like use them to make people fall in love with him and then have them commit suicide because he was a fun psychopath. So Tan Guy was doing the same thing to Beauty. He changed her medication so she would accidentally overdose, which made it look like she was a crazy person with suicide. He was taking pictures and he was photoshopping them to look like Cho was cheating all the time. So he drove her to be crazy so she would just be gone. And then Yihwa got close. He tried to shoot her with a poison arrow during a birthday party. On her birthday party, he made a figurine that shot poison arrows because that's the kind of show this is. He tried to kill my dear with a poisonous snake at the camping trip. He tried to drop the potted plant on Yihwa during Being's birthday party. There's a lot of birthday parties in this episode, in this show. He burned down my dear's apartment, and he would also like go in. He tried to poison Tool's character, but Cho actually drank that and got lots of diarrhea. So that was a fun bonding moment. I really appreciated a diarrhea bonding moment because we all have those, and that's amazing. So he's done all of these things to like murder and ransack and kill people, and the gaslighting. So he's like insane because it turns out he's an evil gay. He's in love with Cho the whole time, and so he has to push everybody away. The maxtul series is really good at having like evil gays because usually it's like a crazy girlfriend or just a crazy woman that we hate and they cause all the problems. So this one and then next chapter has an evil gay. A couple other BLs have evil gays, but generally it's a crazy woman. So I like the diversity that this offers. Also, he is like a super villain, and that's a really fun, weird change. But anyways, Beauty goes into superhero robot mode and like chokeholds him hardcore. And turns out though that he somehow knows her weakness and he snaps, and the snap of a finger causes her to bed. Luckily, my dear is running away the whole time. But she knows the secret because about 5 minutes before this whole thing happened, Beauty gives my dear a big red envelope that says Beauty's secret. So that's a delightful plot point. But she reads that, and because she finds out that France is going to come and she really wants a France D. So she's like, oh, I'm going to be a good person now because I want that D. And she reads it, and if you clap 3 times Beetlejuice style, or clap your red heels together Wizard of Oz style, Beauty will wake up. Tangai puts everyone to sleep again because Beauty's sleeping from the snap. And then he has Yihwa tied up and he starts throwing daggers at her because now he's the Joker from the Batman. Because why not? And he's every dagger, my dear does a clap. And eventually 3 claps, and there's a really cool scene where he throws a dagger and Beauty catches it. And she's like, I'm a badass. And she throws a dagger at his hand. And she's like, oh, you can't snap your hands anymore because you're bleeding. And that was really weird. And then Cho is like, oh, you can't kill him. He's my friend. And then Yihwa, being a total badass, is like, he's not my friend, and then knees him in the face, which was really funny. Yihwa's amazing, and you should love her and give her lots of money. So that wraps up with, and everyone's like really chill with this. They're like, oh, well, that just happened. And they all just kind of like walk away and go home. Beauty just like goes into the darkness, like Tuxedo Mask style. Like her doctor comes, he's like, oh yeah, she's the super robot. And they just like leave. And Joe's like, I'll visit you in the hospital, I guess. He never does. I was really hoping she would appear next chapter. She doesn't. She's a superhero. Why is she not here? Then we do like the wrap up. So Dewey, the poor girl, was dating Tangai. And obviously she can't date him anymore because he's a gay supervillain. But sadly for my dear, France now leaves my dear for Dewey. So Dewey gets the cool, dopey boy. So happy for her. Everyone couples off. It's really great. Everyone's super happy. James and my dear become like Buddhist monks. I guess, I don't know, whatever. They're gone. Bye. Everyone ends up together. There's a rooftop party. And then the best thing ever happens. Korn proposes to Knock. And it's amazing. Gay wedding. We love it. Max and Tool do a gay wedding photo shoot, which is amazing. So we're super happy about that. But that seems like, my heart was exploding because it's super cute. It's like, yay, gay wedding, gay happiness. His like wedding proposal speech was a mess. He's like, hey, we hate each other, we fight all the time, but let's get married. Their relation probably isn't the best one, but like I said, I'm super biased about these people, so I want them eternal happiness and I want them to be together forever. And we do like a screenshot of all the couples. Everyone's super happy together. Beauty literally turns into Tuxedo Mask, fighting villains by moonlight, looking for love by daylight. She's living the Sailor Moon Tuxedo Mask fantasy. I want to see more than that, but it doesn't happen. Max and Tool, Corner Knock, are like happy again until next time. So that's really cool. And then Joe does this really creepy like horror movie teddy bear thing at the end. It's really cute, but it's also terrifying. So at the end of everything, it turns into a horror TV show. There's a cute random scene where Korn says that he is evil Korn, which means he's horny and wants to have sex with Tool, and it's really cute. So Everyone likes evil corn. I'm gonna give this show a 6 out of 10. It could probably be a 7 out of 10, but I made Together With Me an 8 out of 10, and this is not as good. So it's like a 6 or a 7, but we'll just do 6, so I'm not too nice. It's really funny. The actors are great. It's just the story's really out there and all over the place, and you have no idea what's going on most of the time. But watching it again, I really did like it. It's super funny. It's dumb fun. It's not bad. It's weird. So I'm glad that they were able to make more from this, but they got rid of everything like super cool and weird. Like there's ghosts that are real in this world. People are getting possessed. There are crime fighting robots. There are evil gay supervillains. So there's like a lot going on in the world of Corn and Knock that we get in Bad Romance, but then just like goes away in next chapter, and they don't mention it Together With Me. So not only do we lose like all the characters, like Martin is gone, Tangai is gone, Beauty is gone, Dewey is gone, Bean is gone, everybody's gone, Fa is gone, so Fa and Bei, so they're cool. Fa and Pei, they're a straight couple that I ship. Pei pretended to be gay with Max for a little while. It was really cute, but who cares? But he's really cute. I wish we could get more of him. But everyone's gone, and then next chapter is just like the people from Together With Me, which, yay, Farm and Bright. But a lot of cool things happened, and I kind of wish they kept the supernatural elements because that was really fun and random, but everything just felt super like out there and then just like went away. If they kept those elements, then maybe this would be higher on the list because it would like everything would make sense. But too much random things happen and then they just never talk about it. So this is like the redheaded stepchild. It's fun, but it doesn't have too much continuity. And then things are gonna get even weirder next chapter. But check it out, and then check out Manner of Death on WeTV. Thank you. Stay safe, like and subscribe, and wear a mask. Bye.